One of the reasons why that governor's race up there is competitive is the issue of crime. And it's totally out of control in many parts of this country. And I can tell you one of the things I'm proud of is Florida is a law and order state, and I am a law and order governor, period. You never saw me marching against the police when they had summer of 2020. We stood by law enforcement. We made sure they had the resources that they needed. We signed legislation to prevent local governments from being allowed to defund the police. Your safety shouldn't be at risk because some city council has 3 yahoos that want to engage in woke policy making and they defund law enforcement. We're not letting that happen. We will put the money back in so that people are safe. But you're seeing the opposite in many of these places. They've slashed funding. Morale is low. Of course, crime has gone up. They've also instituted policies in places like New York. They've eliminated cash bail. So you have people commit crimes. They'll get let right back on the street, commit more crimes before they've even had to face justice for the previous crimes. And so they truly, and then they'll release people early from prison. They have weak sentencing. So it truly is an example. They're letting the inmates run the asylum in society. And probably what's made it even worse is you have prosecutors that are being elected. They're called progressive prosecutors. They get massive amounts of funding from left-wing groups, including people like George Soros groups, to fund, and they get in and they say, we're going to reform the justice system. Well, they don't have the authority to do that. That's a legislative thing. So what they do is they, quote, reform it by not enforcing laws they disagree with. So in San Francisco, the prosecutor said, well, I'm going to prosecute you if you steal $1,000 worth of stuff. Anything less than that, just go ahead and enjoy. And so these stores are getting robbed all the time. It creates a culture of lawlessness on the streets, and it's really just damaged society. So in Florida, we don't tolerate that. We had a prosecutor up in Tampa who said he wasn't going to enforce laws he didn't like, and we removed him from his post. But it's an example of woke ideology infecting policymaking. And it's been a big, big problem. I think another example that you've seen, quite frankly, is the open southern border. These are people that say somehow it's racist to even have a border at all, that you just got to let everyone come in from over 100 different countries, millions and millions of people. And yet I don't hear the elites saying anything about that. You have the cartels making a fortune, billions of dollars, eating our lunch at the border. You have fentanyl coming in record numbers. You now have the number one cause of death for Americans 1845 is overdose from fentanyl. I don't hear the elites pitching a fit about that. You have criminal aliens coming into our country. We had a sheriff's deputy in Pinellas County killed recently by a twice-deported illegal alien that came across Biden's border about 6 or 7 months ago. They don't get upset about that. They don't get upset even at the fact, and these are DHS numbers, not mine, that over 90 suspected terrorists entered the southern border illegally in the last fiscal year. They don't pitch a fit about that. They only care when 50 illegal aliens show up to Martha's Vineyard. Then they get upset. So, I think the border needs to be closed. I think you need to have return to Mexico, all that stuff, or remain in Mexico, 100%. But, if Biden is going to open the border, let people come in illegally, they should have to be in sanctuary jurisdictions. We're not a sanctuary state in Florida. And the thing is like Martha's Vineyard advertised that they were sanctuary. They said that. They had a social service office saying everybody can come, refugees, whoever, and they would do. And just think, these border towns have thousands and thousands of people, very poor towns. They can't accommodate that. You have a very rich enclave, said sanctuary, but 50. What did they do? Did they accept? No. They declared a humanitarian disaster, called out the National Guard, and deported them off the island the next day. So it shows you that the elites in this country, they want to impose policies and their vision on the rest of society, but they do not want to have to live under the consequences of those policies themselves. They think they should be immune from all of that, and that is wrong. But I'll tell you, nobody was talking about this issue the way it's now been talked about until that happened in Martha's Vineyard. Now it is a front burner issue. The American people want to see action on this, and I think the Republicans, I think they're going to win the House and Senate on Tuesday. But when they do, they need to stand up for us, and they need to take some action to make some changes at that border. Hold Biden accountable. Hold DHS accountable. Require remain in Mexico. Build the wall. Let's get it done. And the thing is, you have majorities in the House and Senate. Biden is a weak president, okay? And you can see, honestly, the thing about Biden, so, you know, when he was running, he picks Kamala Harris as his running mate. And I'm thinking, when that happened, I'm like, man, that is a terrible, terrible selection. Why would you do it? But honestly, as I've thought about it more and more, she's the best insurance for him for the 25th Amendment or impeachment you could ever have. Because no matter how bad Biden does, nobody wants Harris. And so he does that. He did it to protect himself. So Biden is a weak president. And our Congress has the ability, I think, to hold him accountable. And here's, I think, the problem, that I have with Biden is that there are things that sometimes happen. There's things that happen with an economy. There's things you saw natural. Some things happen you have to deal with as an executive. The issue with Biden is that the problems that we are suffering under, inflation, energy, open border, are problems that he created through his policies. He spent and borrowed and printed trillions of dollars when he was warned, if you do it, you will spark inflation. And now we have the worst inflation in 40 years. He made the decision to kneecap our own domestic energy production and to make us reliant on foreign oil and thinking that we can run an economy on windmills, which you can't do. He has done that. You're paying more because of his deliberate policies. And of course, his border policy is premeditated, and this is exactly what they want to happen. So Biden is creating these crises, and then what do? About inflation. They passed legislation called the Inflation Reduction Act. But it doesn't do anything about inflation. They're treating us like we're not smart enough to realize that. What it did do is it added 87,000 new IRS agents. And if you know how the IRS works, those agents are not going to be deployed to audit liberals in Martha's Vineyard. They're going to go after middle-class Americans, and they're going to make it so that it's very difficult to operate if you don't have accountants and lawyers. That's what's going to happen. I would rather see 87,000 Border Patrol agents. So 87,000 new IRS agents, I think that every member of Congress that voted for that should be required to be audited by the IRS every year. Now, the good thing is I've been fighting back against Biden since day one, but that's my job. I'm here to help you. November 8th is the first day that everybody, not just in Florida, but around the country, gets to register their verdict on Biden's policies. We have a chance to go out and let our voice heard. And in the process of doing that, we will be able, once and for all, to retire Nancy Pelosi. Now, I thought that we had succeeded doing that in 2010, but she came back, and it's just like she's been there 40 years. She is a walking advertisement for the need for term limits for members of Congress.